Sacagawea was a great leader and friend along her expedition with Lewis and Clark. She helped them find their way along the new territory and served well as a translator. Although she was just a young teenager, she never lost hope and was very perseverant. Sacagawea was the only woman on the Lewis and Clark expedition. She did not have the best childhood, as she was captured by Indians and sold to a French man named Charbonnet at around the age of 12. The French man later made her one of his wives. Sacagawea was born the year of 1788 in Lemhi Valley. She was also a mother at a very young age. She was pregnant with her first child at around the age of 16. Her brother, named Camelweight, grew to be the chief of the tribe. Sacagawea was also the daughter of the chief. She grew up somewhere near the Rocky Mountains. Sacagawea was asked to join the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1804. She accepted the offer and the expedition began. It lasted from May 14, 1804 until September 23, 1806. It was an 8,000-mile journey that lasted 28 months. The Lewis and Clark expedition was intended for the purpose of mapping the new territory. The Queen sent them to study plants and animals. While on the expedition, a bunch of new species were discovered. The Lewis and Clark expedition started in the Missouri River and then traveled until it reached the Pacific Ocean. While they traveled, they had to be aware of their surroundings in case they were to encounter Indians along their journey. They hoped the Indians would bring peace, but they were never sure, so they kept themselves armed just in case. While Sacagawea was a huge part of the Lewis and Clark expedition, so was everyone else. Lewis and Clark were a huge part of the expedition. After all, the expedition was named after them. Lewis's purpose was a scientist. He gathered all the geographic information as well as other information. The journey was long, and Sacagawea had recently delivered her first child. She named the child Jean Babson. Clark had given Sacagawea and her baby a nickname. Sacagawea's nickname was Jamie, and her son was often called Pompey. He came along on the journey at only 2 months old. It was harder than Sacagawea imagined, but she did her best while carrying her infant along the way. Lewis and Clark knew that Sacagawea would be useful on their journey because she knew how to speak Shoshone. Therefore, she could translate for them. Her husband came along for the expedition as well. He came as a translator for Lewis and Clark, just as Sacagawea was. She provided to be a wonderful guide along the journey and was of much help to Lewis and Clark. By the end of the journey, Clark had entitled her as the pilot. When the trip ended, Sacagawea walked out empty-handed. They did not give her any money or land. However, her husband was given money and land. He was given $532 and 320 acres of land to be exact. Sacagawea had served her purpose, though, which was to guide and lead the expedition. She had a very good sense of direction, which helped as well. She also did negotiating and got some horses from the Shoshone people. Sacagawea did not live a very long life. She died at the age of 25 on December 22, 1812. She was buried in Lander, Wyoming. It was later discovered that Sacagawea died from an illness that she didn't realize she had. Just before she died, she gave birth to a baby girl named Lisette. William Clark was generous enough to adopt both of her young children and raise them as his own. However, there is nothing on her youngest daughter, Lisette, no records and no history. Over the past couple years, Sacagawea's picture has been engraved on a $1 coin. She deserved better than she had. She deserved to get rewarded for all the help she provided Lewis and Clark with. She deserved to be treated better by her husband. She deserved to live a longer life. Never take anything for granted because it can be lost in a split second. Every minute counts, and every memory is precious. Sacagawea will forever be remembered for her heroic ways and the help she provided along the Lewis and Clark expedition. She may not have lived a long life, but it sure was a full life filled with adventure and danger. She was a wonderful mother to her children along the way, even though there were some hard times. The Lewis and Clark Historical Trail is worldwide famous now. It is located along the eastern seaboard. The Lewis and Clark Historical Trail ends at the Pacific Ocean. While the journey may have been long, it was also very beautiful. Imagine exploring all the untouched land of America. Amazing discoveries were found and friendships were built stronger. Everything was made possible by Sacagawea, the leader of the expedition, the guide, the translator, the friend, and the mother. Sacagawea truly was an influential figure of our past.